Okay. Hello. Welcome, Anthony. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you,
Hey
everyone
Matt,
who joined. Yeah,
great
nice
to
to
be
have you
here.
back. Nice to see your face again. I'm sure our community missed you. So
Likewise.
we got you back on here. Today's even more exciting than the last time we talked because last time we were discussing what you guys have built and the integration we were going to build with you guys. At that point, it was all theoretical. Today, it is live in testnet. People can test it. It's amazing. I've been testing it for a week and kind of putting my little UX improvements and bug fixes to my devs. I've been working them super hard. You guys have already started working them super hard. I think from what I'm seeing so far, we're getting rate limited on the airdrop that we're giving out to people to test with. Some of the APIs are getting rate limited. So yeah, you guys are storming the gates, which is good to see. And yeah, I'm excited for you guys to use Elitra. I mean, the product is pretty sweet. Overall, Citria ecosystem is kind of on the rise, and there's going to be a lot to do over there. So we're looking forward to bringing access to it. But yeah, to start us off, Anthony, why don't you just remind everyone who are you? How did you get started on Elitra? What types of problems are you guys addressing? What is Elitra now? That would be a good place to start with. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely great to be back, as mentioned earlier, and super excited to basically be improving the cross-chain UX with you guys. A little bit of just for the people that don't know me yet. So a little bit of background. Uh, spent was a PM at Ledger for almost 4 years, then jumped on the first opportunity to start building in DeFi because this is what I loved. And this is what I've seen also at Ledger, like the problems that DeFi has from a risk, usability, and all the time that it takes just to get there. So the idea was to start building in DeFi and try to basically improve it as much as we can with the little resources that we can. So created Elitra with my co-founder Sunil, and we've been building it for the past 6-7 months now. So it's probably a bit more. And our idea is that yeah, as mentioned, DeFi has some problems, and we wanna improve its UX. And the best form today for us was to execute on this vision was through VODs, because they're very interesting primitives in DeFi, and you can build a lot of interesting features on top. And they make it very easy on the user side of things, institutions, and so on. So this is like a small TLDR about where we're at. But yeah, like other than Vault, as mentioned, we were launching with Citria, a couple of other ecosystems, and we're launching another like some suites of products on top of Vault, such as leverage and so on that we want to test out with the market. So we're
Yeah.
nearing all of this, and yeah, excited to get this live.
Amazing. Yeah, I think I mean Bitcoin yield is a huge thing that I'm bullish on. Like the amount of friends that text me to ask for advice if they want exposure to crypto, but more so they just want exposure to Bitcoin, like the best vehicle to go through to get that. This is kind of it's throwing its hat in the ring, because it's going to increase what people can get out of their Bitcoin investment, and as time goes on. Um, Bitcoin's price will stabilize more. It'll probably end up in the millions, right? And we'll all be super rich and happy. and
Yeah.
and then we'll be looking for how to generate some yield from that, and like some other primitives that I think are really cool on Citria to kind of get the best capital efficiency possible out of that and kind of get the most out of it as it becomes like this super asset. So yeah, I mean, Elitra is super exciting. Like getting yield on Bitcoin is something I look forward to. I'm still trying to figure out what exactly my strategy will be. I was talking to the guys over at Zentra, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I might be utilizing that. They were telling me that they're, I think, doing some work with you guys as well. I don't know. I don't know if I'm leaking alpha to the public right now, so I won't force you to go into that if it's private for now. But yeah, like from the conversations I'm having with you guys, with them, with some other projects in the Citria ecosystem, there's going to be a lot that I'm excited to use as a user. And at the end of the day, literally my favorite part about my job is that I've built some technology that can help augment the experience of the other products in the space that I want to use. This is like, at the end of the day, the reason why I came into DeFi was as a user, and yeah, I ended up building something because I don't think it's there yet, but I think a lot of things are happening to push us in the right direction. So maybe briefly, do you want to discuss like what you think that direction is around Bitcoin finance, Bitcoin based yields, other things that are happening on Citria, and sort of the direction that the ecosystem is heading that you guys kind of see yourself sitting in?
Absolutely. Yeah, so on the Citria ecosystem side of things, we basically what we're building, right, depends on the underlying primitives and opportunities that are out there. So we are definitely collaborating closely with different ecosystem players, because in the end, we deploy on those ecosystem players. So Zentra, Nectra, and all these ecosystem players will benefit from the liquidity flowing through our platform, since we deploy on them and manage the assets on top of this. So definitely stay tuned for more partnerships and products built on top of those protocols. But in terms of like Bitcoin as an asset in the end, right? So to your point, it would appreciate in price, hopefully, and most probably. And the idea is to start treating it as an asset, right? So you want to borrow against it, you want to pay some stuff, you want to put it to work, and so on. So in my opinion, this is where ideally we can get to, and what is going to go. And we're starting to see it in the market with different card providers letting you part, for example, some crypto assets, spend them. And ideally, I guess the next evolution, I believe some of are doing, where we can just borrow against these Bitcoins, pay your mortgage, pay your loan, and so on, and keep on doing it without selling it. Underlyingly, right, in DeFi right now, what used to happen, mainly not with Bitcoin, but with other assets, was you would loop your position. So if you want to keep your Ethereum, you would loop it again. So you get kind of a long exposure on it, or you just take the USDC to do something with it. So it's definitely going there, and this is what we want to do to Bitcoin.
So like non-liquidatable leverage, right? If you borrow and loop, right? I think it's non-liquidatable in that case, or am I wrong?
It would be, but there are like mechanisms and automations where you can start, like in case the price falls, you can manage it, and it would get to a non-liquidatable status, but still, no, you'd be exposed to some risks.
Okay, cool. Is that something that you guys are looking to build out? Is like leveraged Bitcoin exposure that kind of manages the risk for you?
Yeah. So in a way, there's manual. Or today you can do it yourself, but there's some manual work to be done, and you have to track it and so on. So idea is to start abstracting it slowly, and of course, this is going to be built on top of the different protocols on Citria, where the liquidity lives and so on. So we definitely have plans to scratch or tackle this problem.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, and then so what do you think? What do you think for like Bitcoin DeFi are the biggest catalysts that you see in like the next year, maybe 5 years, 10 years, and then the biggest roadblocks as well that you see in those time periods?
It's a good one. I think I guess we still have an adoption problem in the industry, right? Like I was just scrolling through something where I watched like someone was overlaying a chart, and they were showing that the sentiment or the interest basically in crypto has been like towards like the 29 equivalent to 2019's recently. So I think as an industry, we probably did some things that are not like well seen outside, and we have some time. It's going to take some time to change this picture. So I think first of all is the adoption. Maybe this is more on the retail side of things, because on the institutional side of things, you're seeing demand on being on blockchain rails and using it. So it's like two different images of the industry, but the bet is that it's going to get adopted like slowly and very fast, and especially on the institutional side of things, right? They want stable coins, they want to manage RWAs on chain, they want tools basically to manage assets and so on. So I feel that we have much more tailwinds than headwinds, but we still have some work to do on the headwind side of things.
What do you think gets in the way of adoption?
So probably a big part, I guess a lot of UX problems, like we are at a stage where we can improve it and start having like delightful experiences in crypto. So I think we're at this stage in terms of infrastructure, but still this is like a big blocker today because you still have to get some wallets, do some things, wrap your head around of the technology. I don't know if this is going to change at some point, but I think we're at the stage where we can abstract it as much as possible. So this is first the UX, and then I believe like just on the reputational side of things, we have work to do. I don't know how we like fix this, but it's gonna take some time. Probably right, similar to with BlackRock what they did with Bitcoin. So you can just have like an ETF, just an abstraction, and then the technology starts to get like adopted slowly, and maybe we're going there, right? Tokenized stocks and so on.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you. It's like I think UX. I mean, obviously I'm biased here because like we're a UX solution, but I see UX as really being the major barrier.
Yeah,
I think reputation as well. Like you're definitely correct about that. But I think that reputation is sort of like like caused by good UX. If people can see something that provides value to them and it's like easy for them to use it and take advantage of that value, then you don't have to spend much time convincing them that this is a good thing, right? Like if
100%.
you can make the UX really easy, Bitcoin continues to perform well as an asset, and then people like you make it easier for you to, do more with that asset, earn some yield from it, like all these added benefits that are going to help you actually pay your bills and not have to sell that Bitcoin to do it. Um, I think that is like the thing we need to focus on, because if we get there, then like, I mean, people will just be dumb if they're denying that. You like, there's not much convincing to do at that point. It's something that's objectively good and that people are taking advantage of and preserving their wealth and increasing their wealth through these vehicles. Like, it's pretty undeniable at that point that this is a thing that people should be interested in. So,
Absolutely.
so those are, I think, like the problems that you and I are both trying to solve. Just two sides of trying to solve that. You guys are building the utility, and then we're building the UX that people are kind of more familiar with, and allows for more users to be able to access those things. So because we're on the topic of UX and that's kind of the goal of this integration that we're doing with you guys, I wanted to know from your side, what do you see like end game UX being for, like somebody is interested in Bitcoin and wants to know how to get exposure to it and how to get the most out of it. But you guys are on like Citria, which is, I mean, in terms of blockchains, because it's a newer one, not the most accessible, but also like blockchains in general aren't that accessible. Where do you see kind of like that end game being, where if I'm somebody that has the desire to learn and try to get exposure and do stuff with my Bitcoin, it's super easy for me?
Yeah, so in terms of like what would be the ideal user experience for someone that has BTC, in my opinion, that's if I understood correctly.
Yeah, or even
Yeah,
like they don't have Bitcoin,
I see.
but
Yeah,
they're like looking to buy some Bitcoin and then start doing some stuff with it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, for me, like how like I think the ideal flow would be like you'd have whether it's a standalone app or a web app, whatever, but you would have like a nice, connect login button. Then you would, if the user doesn't have any assets, you would get like a nice unramping flow for him, like through bank, through credit card. And then very quickly you would zap basically into the asset that they desire. So whether it's Bitcoin or not, some stable coins to get them started. Then afterwards, like you can just directly provide them with the use cases of what they can do with this asset. So they could hold it, right? Or you could redirect them to more yield opportunities and make them see what they would do. So the ideal flow would be to, right? And when I say like the on-ramp side of things, it's like an abstraction to many things, right? So you have the, if they don't have assets, and if they have assets, right, use solutions such as yours to just get them where they want to be very quickly without them doing a lot of steps. So this is
Yeah.
this is how I see it. First of all, just get the BTC, get it where it should be as fast as possible, and then do with it whatever you want as fast as possible. This is how I would put it, basically.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's where I want to end up too. Like I would love to get to the point where, even like Elitra either has its own app, maybe it's on like a phone and the person just shows up with fiat and they can go directly into it, or like maybe the Citria ecosystem has an app or whatever. Like, but at the end of the day, I'd like it to get to a point where like I can tell my buddy that he can download an app on his phone and like within 5 minutes he can have money in this account and have Bitcoin and start doing all this cool stuff with it. I think that we're headed there, and not to go down too deep of a rabbit hole, but like we've started with on-chain onboarding and tying like different chains together and creating the same UX for users across all these chains. And that's the step I want to take next at Spicenet, is like actually teaming up with the on-ramps so that people can get directly into like a privy account, like we use with the integration with you guys. And from there, they can do all this stuff across all these different chains. And I think we're actually not that far away from doing that. Like, I think it'll be easy for us. And within a couple months, we'll start to create apps that are like fully abstracted and users can just show up to no matter where they're coming from. So, that's not what we have today. I'll before everyone gets excited, I'll say like today all we can do is allow you to come from other chains and use Citria, which is great because I think people should try Citria. But yeah, like the future is definitely in our sights, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel to create a UX that is like familiar with what people expect in traditional finance, which is like you said, show up, log in, deposit money, do whatever you want, right? Like it's
exactly
the same way we've done things across any app, whether it's like a betting app or a trading app or any finance app. Like this is the way that people understand how to use stuff. And yeah, that's kind of like how I'm thinking about SpiceFlow, is like positioning it as like the turnkey solution to enable that exact UX. And then people just have to build the utility on chain. So
exactly.
Yeah. On the chain side of things, if you want to talk about like the UX that you guys are targeting for cross-chain, how you want that to look like, and why you chose SpiceFlow, I think that would be helpful as well.
Yeah. So it's pretty close to like this seamless flow that I just described. Right, get there as fast as possible and do with it, do what you intend to do as fast as possible. But basically, like, because it's drawing from our own experiences, drawing from having worked at Ledger at the time, also on wallets. Like we've seen the issues with the UX and having users just know where to receive their assets and use them. So for me, like they just don't need to know on what blockchain they are, or at least they need to basically bridge seamlessly. So this is why we're using Spicenet. Just connect. You would just get a couple of confirmations, put some assets in this, I guess, one balance. I don't know if you have the technical word for it on your end, but yeah, like this one balance account, and then just do with it all the actions that you intend to do on the different chains without like thinking a lot about gas, assets, and so on. So this solves a lot of onboarding problem for us, and then ideally we can zap into our flows, our vaults, our opportunities that are available in DeFi and so on very easily.
Yeah, I'm going to actually show what we have right now. I think that'll be fun to walk through it. And like, to be clear, like we're still kind of fixing up UX and adding changes and stuff. This is like the great part about this campaign. So that's like sort of the goal here. And I won't claim that we have the final solution, but I think what we have is on a really cool track and it's getting us there.
Yeah.
And one thing I will want to talk about as well is like you saying like, I'm not sure what you guys are calling it when we talk about the cross-chain account. This is something that I've been trying to deal with, because really what it is that the person is using is like a cross-chain account that they could access any of the apps that we're integrated with without having to, bridge or anything, or like spend gas fees on any of these chains. But for this, like, it's really hard to educate on that up front. So for the sake of simplicity, we're kind of calling things like the account that the app is actually integrated in. So what we'll do is, like, what you're doing here is actually depositing into your Elitra account. Now, we know technically that on the back end, what this means is that if Zentra is also integrated, then you can use the same account and go to Zentra and you'll have the assets there already. But for simplicity's sake, we'll call it like an Elitra account right now, because if you show up to a new application and you're like, oh, I want to try out Elitra, and you've never heard of Spicenet, and then all of a sudden it says like deposit to your Spicenet account, you're like, what is that?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So like, I think that's an interesting thing that we'll face, is getting to a point where people are educated enough and know our product enough where we can call it that cross-chain account. But for now, let's treat it as this is your Elitra account. So typically, if you showed up to Elitra, you could deposit to this CBTC vault directly from Citria, but you wouldn't have the option of any other chains. For the sake of this demo, we're showing off Base and Sepolia. So I'll show you guys Base. So the flow is you've connected your wallet, you go and you just say, I want to deposit. You would click here to get an airdrop. I won't do it because we're already getting rate limited and I have assets already. So then it gives me the choice of assets that I have on Base Sepolia. These are the 3 assets I hold there. So I can select any of these and start with my asset on Base Sepolia. And what's going to happen next is basically that we'll end up with some amount of whatever amount I selected in this vault in CBTC. So we can do this deposit. So this is like depositing to your Elitra account, and I should probably change the copy at the top here from vault to account. Now that's an available balance in my Elitra account. As you can see here, I can look at my other balances. If I chose to add anything else to my Elitra account before, then they'll be here. And I can, again, just complete a deposit. I'll do a little amount because, again, our solver has limited liquidity and there's a lot of you guys. And since I just did this, I think I'm getting rate limited on it as well. But essentially, yeah, you could complete your deposit here, and then you'll see the balance show up in the actual account. And then when you want to withdraw, you can decide to keep it on Elitra in your account, and then you won't need to spend any gas fees. So this will be especially useful once you guys have like 50 different vault strategies and I just decide I want to switch from one strategy to the other. I don't have to go all the way back to Base Sepolia and then come all the way back to Elitra. I could just like withdraw, keep it on Elitra, and then select another vault, and I'm not going to have to pay any gas fees to go into that other vault. Or if I want to, take a full exit, I can take it back to Base Sepolia, and then I can select the assets in the vault, and I'm going to receive WBTC again back on Base Sepolia as I started out. So yeah, essentially now as a Base Sepolia user, I can get access to CBTC. I can get access to this 6.3% APY once you guys are in mainnet. And I don't have to have any setup on Citria. I can do this all from my Base wallet or my Ethereum wallet, or any of the other networks that we choose to enable after you guys are in mainnet.
Awesome. No, you definitely feel closer to the vision that we just shared. Like because at some point we've had to like ourselves, right, design some flows, right, some switching flows, make sure right dexes are working and so on. And this just abstracts it all basically.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to talk about was like account-based architecture, because you kind of described that as like the ideal end UX is like that you log in and then you can fund the account in so many different ways and then you can just use it. I'm seeing more of that happening in the market. So it's interesting that you pointed that out as well, because I've been kind of writing a little article on how the largest players in the space are kind of moving towards this account-based architecture that feels more like a Web 2 app. So just wanted to get your thoughts on what you're noticing there as well.
Yeah, what I'm seeing, but I'm curious also to have your thoughts on this, on what types of apps. But now, like, there's been like so many apps that just like are like, because I feel now it's being blurred between you being like a wallet app, like a DeFi app, and so on. Things like the lines are starting to be blurred. So what I'm seeing right now is like a massive, like just simple apps where you just log in, stablecoin centered. Everything's abstracted. You can put your card there, like just an on ramp, and then boom, you just start generating yield. Like they don't mention, like they just have small buttons about like on-chain deposits and so on, but like just nothing else. Basically, just simple stablecoin yield apps. And I believe right that they want to execute probably more on this, but seems like to be the go-to market strategy for a lot of today's apps. Like just as abstracted as possible.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's where you get like the huge wave of adoption, because if you tell people that they can earn, slightly higher APYs than they can with, well, sometimes it's not even slightly higher, even like a lot higher APYs than they can in like a high interest rate account or
Yeah,
something, then they'll be interested in that. If they have to go through all the onboarding and stuff that we like are used to
yeah,
a little bit more in DeFi, that they just won't. But if you give them an app, and I'm going to show a couple examples of like what I'm seeing as well. If you give them that easy onboarding, then it becomes kind of a no-brainer, because they can get that yield and it's like the same experience as what they're used to.
exactly. There's also, right, like I guess this is more like the step after, but at least for me, maybe I'm biased, but the fact when you wrap your head around like you own these assets in a way, right, and you can do whatever you want with them, you're not bound to any platform and so on, it gets even more powerful. Like, and this is where like the underlying blockchain application is. But yeah, it takes some time maybe to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, totally. So I'm gonna bring my screen up again here, and actually go back to what were the apps I want to show? Oh, Aave. So they did this.
Yeah, exactly.
So Aave, like when you go to their website now, the very first thing you see is say hello to the Aave app. Earn up to
100%.
6.5% on your stable coins with industry leading interest rates, yada yada. It's literally just like an app on your phone where you can earn 6.5% yield. And like,
Exactly.
and they're like the biggest lending platform in the space. I think they're like the third biggest app in the space, and the other two are kind of doing similar stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's crazy to see the level to which the big apps are trying to simplify this. Another example is Hyperliquid. I'm going to expose the long I took on layer
Oh,
zero.
nice.
Doing pretty well on that position from
Nice.
yesterday. I just bought on the announcement because I was like, that sounds like a
Solid.
good deal. But same thing with layer zero, right? It's like you deposit to an account, or sorry, same thing with Hyperliquid.
Yeah.
You deposit to an account, you sign like a session key, and then after that, anytime you want to use that account, you can use it. You don't have to even sign another transaction off chain until your session key expires. So then it becomes like super easy, and it becomes very sticky as well. Like
Yeah.
I keep my assets, or a lot of assets, in Hyperliquid, because I know that I can easily execute and buy and sell a lot of these things anytime I need to. And the fact that I would have to go and like purposely withdraw to take it out of Hyperliquid creates like a barrier in which whenever I remember that the assets are there, I have to go back to their app.
Yeah.
When I go back to their app, I'm like, oh, I can long and short all this stuff.
Yeah.
Let me just keep the funds in here and do that, right?
Precisely. I like the same, it's the exact same feeling. And I don't know if you've been using it, but they have something very cool, is if you would like download, like you would go on your mobile phone, right? You would just install it as a progressive web app. Then you scan your session key, and then you don't even need to connect your wallet on your mobile or anything. And you can just trade out of your mobile with Hyperliquid. So this was
Yeah.
pretty decent because they don't have a mobile app.
Yeah, exactly. It's the UX that needs to happen. And a lot of times people just never even end up withdrawing. When you give them like the account choice, they'll just keep it in there forever. Like I probably will with Hyperliquid, because I like to have the ability to long and short stuff.
Yeah.
And so even if this Hyperliquid accounts continues to grow, like I might never withdraw it, or at least not for a very long time.
Precisely.
Hopefully I won't just blow the account up and run out of money. But what one of my friends was telling me, actually, he was telling me that he had like a gambling problem, and that like what he noticed is that once he would deposit to like a sports betting app, he would actually never withdraw the money from the sports betting app. Like he would win,
I see.
and then he would just keep it in the app. And then when he wanted to bet again, he would, even if he won more, he would just keep it in the app, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that gambling is bad, but there is something to be said about creating a very sticky user experience that's super easy for people to come in, and then keeps you wanting to stick around because it just is so easy to continue to use the product once you have assets in it. So
Exactly.
that's kind of what I'm noticing. The last example I'll show is like Pump Fun. When you go to Pump Fun now, the first thing it asks you, if I log out here, the first thing it asks you is like, you click log in, and like the option it is trying to get you to do is to log in with email or socials, because then you get zero confirmation trading. So same thing, they want you to deposit to an account and then use that account to buy Bitcoin and just keep your money in that account and just continue to use Pump Fun. And so that's what everyone's doing, and that's sort of the UX that I think we can replicate for apps, because Pump Fun, Hyperliquids, Aave, like they have a lot of money and resources to build that experience, but most apps don't, and Spicenet can just integrate and build that for you, and then make it available cross chain, and then eventually like fiat, all that fun stuff. So that's the future I see. And
definitely.
thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but yeah, we're totally aligned on this, and yeah, hopefully, and I think it's closer. Yeah, it's closer than we all think. So super excited for what's next.
Totally.
But yeah, we also with AI, right? So we can start shipping much more. I don't know if you've been down this rabbit hole as well, but
totally.
but yeah,
you can't not be now, right?
It's exactly like it's
It feels like to start off 2026, like everyone on crypto Twitter took a break from crypto for like a month, and just spent a month trying to wrap their head around like Claudebot, Moltbook,
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's super cool, and yeah, things are accelerating, and I mean that's also an awesome catalyst for DeFi, because obviously like these AI agents aren't going to be using bank accounts and stuff. They're going to be doing stuff
precisely.
So anyways, that's a rabbit hole I won't dive down today. We'll be here for an hour. I'm going to let you go and get back to work, Anthony, because I know you guys are working on a mainnet launch right now, and there's a lot on your plate. So I'm going to thank you for coming today, and let you get back to it. But before you go, anything you want to share with our community, other than obviously if they're eligible for this campaign, go support it. Go and share all of the launch announcements that we did. If you could please, this Spiceflow X Elitra Devnet is now live. If you guys can share that announcement. But other than that stuff, what can they look out for from you guys, and what do you want to divert their attention to?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, always a pleasure being here. On our end, I think like we're planning a couple of also revamps on the whole user experience. So we'd love to get some feedback there. And I would simply say like just stay tuned, because we're nearing a lot of launches for a lot of products. So we're definitely excited to test those out, have some feedback, and see like how those basically UX improvements, automations, and so on feel with the market. So we're definitely super excited for this, and stay tuned.
Awesome. I'm going to throw your X handle on here as well, the project X handle.
Appreciate it.
Would like everyone to go follow them. Yeah, lots of great stuff coming in the pipeline. Excuse me while I try to remind myself how StreamYard works for the 500th time.
Yeah.
Banner show, nailed it.
Awesome, nice.
Follow Elitra
It's there, yeah.
_XYZ right there. Yeah, show some love to the post. If you're eligible, then do some testing. If you're not, then we'll see you in the next campaign. And yeah, other than that, until next time, stay spicy.
Until next time. Yes.
Talk to you
Cheers.
guys
Bye-bye.
soon. Take care.